This is 93.5 CHMR FM.
You're listening to 93.5 CHMR FM, and this is The Aperture, a weekly hour-long discussion of all topics geek culture. I am one of your hosts, Rory DC.
And I'm Adam the Porch Knight.
And we have a guest with us here today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Hi, my name's Penny.
And what are you here to discuss with us today?
Anything that you would like to ask me, because I'm super excited to talk about whatever.
Well,
okay, perfect.
Yeah, we're going to do superheroes?
Superhero movies, yeah,
superhero
that's right.
movies today.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it should be cool.
And so where do you want to... I believe, Adam, before we start, you have some news you wanted to go over?
Yeah.
So you can do that now.
Just a couple of pieces of news, at least I found newsworthy this week. The biggest one, Xbox One has reversed the stance on used games and always online. They made an announcement at E3 where they said that if you didn't catch your E3 show, and you totally should because it's awesome and we'll have it on YouTube soon, they made an announcement where they said they would you wouldn't be able to play used games on your Xbox unless certain conditions were met, and that the Xbox would have to connect to the internet all the time. But now they've completely reversed that stance, and they've said that it's now only for you don't have to be connected to the internet to play offline games. You don't have used games are going to operate the same way they do on the Xbox.
You don't have to do that 24-hour connect thing that they had before.
Yeah. So I honestly think that this is very good for the Xbox One. It now makes me want to buy the console. Still won't get it at launch just because of the $100. It's still $100 more expensive than the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Lego Movie has been announced. Maybe. Honestly, when I first saw him, there's no way that this is an actual movie because, seriously, Lego Movie is kind of like the Battleship movie. But if it is, I think it looks really good because they got either Morgan Freeman or a guy who does a really good Morgan Freeman impression in the trailer. So honestly, the trailer, check out the trailer. I think I linked it to the Facebook page. Looks really, really funny. And Disney's also making a new Christmas movie called Frozen. It looks freaking wretched. Honestly, one of the worst movies. It looks like an absolutely terrible movie. So don't go see that one. Go see the Lego Movie.
Sound like a good combo Disney Christmas movie.
Yeah,
it sounds like that was going downhill.
Well, did they do the Santa Claus? Was that Disney?
I feel like it might have been.
Yeah, well, Santa Claus was
live
okay.
action. That's kind of.
It was I mean, it was there.
Yeah, Tim Allen was okay.
Yeah, I guess he was satisfactory. Whatever happened to Tim Allen? The way of Eddie Murphy, or what's?
I think he's just not in as many movies, just because he had his prime time in the '90s and the early 2000s, and unlike Adam Sandler, he realized that there were other comedians coming up who were more in sync with what people found funny in modern times. I think he's kind of just bowing out now, which is good. Adam Sandler is not, and I wish he would because he's not funny. He's certainly not as funny as Tim Allen or Eddie Murphy.
No, well, I don't know. He might beat out Eddie Murphy, actually.
I'm
not a big fan of Eddie Murphy.
I really like Eddie Murphy.
Regardless, is that pretty much everything? You want to go on with superhero stuff?
We also went to see Man of Steel last night.
We did.
Yeah, we did. And so we're actually going to start with Penny. Penny, what did you think about it?
I actually really enjoyed it, and coming from someone who doesn't know a whole lot about the character or really about DC in general, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like from other things that people have told me who have seen it, who are more familiar, I feel like I was the target audience. People who, weren't as familiar with some of the backgrounds of the comic books could really, identify with this film because it was so general. So I really appreciated that from my standpoint of view. I don't know how, really big DC fans were going to feel about that, but I appreciated that.
I've heard good reception from a lot of people. Well, I've heard good reception. Like you say, it depends upon background a lot. I think the people who saw Smallville weren't crazy about it.
Yeah.
People who
Devin, because I know our friend Devin, he loves Smallville.
Yeah.
And I don't think, from what I've heard him from what I've seen him post about it on Facebook, I don't think he really enjoyed it.
I also quite enjoy Smallville, and I also had a similar reaction as Devin.
See, I never watched Smallville, and I actually really like the movie. But at the same time, I really don't think that Superman has got a big screen. Has had a really good big screen movie since the first Superman movie in '78.
I actually agree with you there. No.
Yeah, so this is definitely the best one since '78.
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
I thought it was still a pretty good. I really enjoyed the movie. A lot of flaws with
it's
the writing.
It's a gravity weapon.
Yeah.
It's a world engine.
Yeah.
World engine. I was trying to remember that word this morning.
A great title for a weapon.
But its flaws were not overshadowed, however, by its good points. I thought that the good points more than made up for the movie. Is it The Dark Knight, or in Rory's case, Batman Begins? No. but it's better than like it's. I'd honestly put it above like X-Men 1. Like that is like just above that kind of tier. Like I thought it was better than X-Men 1 or say like Spider-Man like 1. Like it's better than those movies, but not as good as say like Avengers or Iron Man or like I put it on the same tier as like Thor maybe. Like that kind of like I enjoyed it, but I would never say it's like an excellent movie.
Okay, there we go. No, okay,
That's
now
fair.
okay, now we've actually established something here because I also put it on the same tier as Thor.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
That which makes me think that maybe our tier for Thor is a little different. Because I know you enjoyed Man of Steel a lot more than I did.
Yeah, I enjoyed Thor more than you did.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah.
Although the reason I like Thor is because I'm a big fan of fantasy, so I felt that was very much a fantasy movie in the same way that Man of Steel is less facade. It's not like 100% superhero movie. It's I'd say good 30% if it's a sci-fi movie. A lot of sci-fi elements in that.
A lot. It's filmed a lot like a sci-fi movie as well, which is intriguing. And I actually think, and just because I wasn't crazy about Man of Steel, also does not mean I wasn't crazy about Henry Cavill, who I thought was awesome.
And Amy
Brilliant
Adams.
in the role.
Oh, and Amy Adams. Yeah. I was amazed with Henry Cavill actually because I was not expecting that because I'd never heard of it. Had anybody heard of this guy before?
Yes, he was in The Tudors, which I watched, and he was also he played the young son in Count of Monte Cristo, and he was fantastic in that as well.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
If you don't know this about Penny, and I don't know why you would because you're listening to the radio and you've probably never met her, she's watched basically every TV show ever.
I'm not going to lie about that. It's probably true.
Including probably Samurai Pizza Cats, although.
One I should recommend to you. Have you seen Lost Girl, the Showcase series?
I actually haven't. I've seen bits and pieces of it when I've been flicking around the channels, but it's not something I've sit down and actually viewed.
I thoroughly recommend it. Like, I'm not entirely convinced it's a genius work of plot, writing, and direction.
It's not.
But but it is enjoyable. Like, Adam
it
can
is
attest
certainly
to this.
enjoyable.
Yeah,
That's okay. I can deal with that.
yeah. It's sort of. I imagine it's sort of like the Glee of supernatural shows, one of those like guilty pleasure supernatural shows. That's what
Hilarious.
I would
No,
consider it
it's
as.
a lot better than Glee.
Well, it's a lot better than Glee. No, but I mean
I'd
for
say-
equivalent like musical shows. And-
I put it on the same level as like Rayman Origins, like a very fun little game, but it's never going to win anything for like any big awards for plot because it had none.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Not
yeah.
to say that Lost Girl doesn't have a plot. It's just
It does have a plot. It's just sort of standard supernatural fare.
Yeah.
The
If you've seen like Angel or Buffy, then you basically kind of get the gist of what we're talking about.
Okay.
yeah. Just out of curiosity, biggest plus and biggest minus on Man of Steel. That could be director, writing, anything. Adam?
Biggest plus for me was definitely the action scenes. I felt that this was the only Superman movie like the only Superman besides in the comics and in the anime and in video games one. I thought it was the only live action Superman anything to really get Superman fighting. Like the superhero fights in this were the best I've ever seen in any movie. I know a lot of people might disagree with me on that, but I just like the way they move, the way they like shot the action, the way that their powers worked. I just thought it was excellent fight scenes for superheroes. That was a big plus for me. Biggest minus was definitely there was a lot of plot holes in the writing, and it seemed like they were trying to do way too much with. They had this whole moral thing. I don't want to get into it too much because I don't want to spoil it, but they had this whole like moral conundrum that Superman has to face, and I felt like that wasn't fleshed out enough, and it didn't really have a good resolution. So I felt like they tried to do too much. It's similar to Star Trek. Into Darkness felt like they tried to do way too much.
I agree with that as well, actually. Yeah, because we did a show right after Into Darkness, if I recall, where we mentioned something of that sort. Penny, biggest plus, biggest minus?
The biggest plus for me about Man of Steel was how Henry Cavill chose to play Clark Kent, and I mean specifically Clark Kent. I don't know if that was a writing issue or a personal choice on his behalf, but I liked and I really appreciated how, like, whatever he was wearing, like a beard or, you know, the actual Superman suit or whichever, he was always Clark Kent. And I thought that was a really important thing for the character to be. You know, he wasn't Kal-El, he wasn't Superman even. He was always Clark Kent, and he was always human, and he was always moral, and I thought that was an excellent choice to go that way. So that was a really big thing for me. Biggest minus was probably I felt a lot of the scenes were disjointed. Felt like sometimes when it would cut, it would come back in a place that I didn't understand how we'd gotten there. Like there was a scene towards the end where Superman and Lois Lane were just standing in a field. I'm like, wait a minute, how did we get here?
I had the same thing, but I felt it was more prevalent in the beginning of the movie because